Welcome to another edition of Action 14, and I can't tell you, it's so great to be back. We're dressed more casually right now. Things are just a wreck everywhere, but we're doing the best we can to bring information to you. I'm Mike Briggs, and my guest to start things out is Mayor Pullman. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mike. It's a pleasure always to be here, TV 14, and talk about things and talk to our viewers.
One of the biggest items is the city maintaining and our businesses maintaining themselves during this epidemic that we're going through, Mayor.
It is, and it's very difficult, I think, to look at it, I guess, in the big picture of things that sometimes gets very confusing and very convoluted, unfortunately. But COVID-19 has really caused an impact on the community. And you know it from the school side, I know it from the city side. My day job in business really has brought a lot of things right face to face. And there's one message that I want to get out to our community, and that is that these businesses are working very hard to do all of the CDC, the ABC, the XYZ, the county programming, the state programming, the federal programming, and trying to keep the community in mind and open their doors, do proper social protocol, distancing, put all the words and adjectives you want in there, but to somehow stay in business, as difficult as it is, because these businesses don't have paychecks. Their paycheck comes when people come in the door. And
Right.
we really need to tell people that businesses in our community, I don't know about other communities, but I've talked with many businesses, I've visited many of them, and they are spending a lot of money to try and keep their customers' safety at a very high level, and at the same time have the doors open for business. And I don't care if it's a restaurant, a beauty salon, a retail place. We need to patronize our local businesses.
Right.
Because quite honestly, some of them aren't going to make it. It's very difficult for them to conduct business as it is, and then to be limited to when they can be open and who they can have in the store at one time. And I'm afraid some businesses are going to have such a hill to climb that they're just not going to survive, and that's going to be bad.
Yes, I want to convince everyone to do carry out. If you're not comfortable, as I am not comfortable eating in a restaurant right now, but I always try to do carry out from the restaurants that I used to sit down at, because I want to be able to sit down there again someday. So do your carry out. Tip heavily, please.
Oh,
Please help. Waitresses and waiters are also need your support. So please support by, like I would do, take out and also tip heavily, and with the hope that you'll be able to come in and sit down next week.
Well, and you're right, and that's a very good point, because the waiters and waitresses are the ones who we all know and have served us well. They're not getting a paycheck. I also do the carry out. I occasionally eat in when it's a very low point in the day's business. It's important that our businesses survive, there are not funds available. You hear about all these different programs, and we'll talk about some about the city side of thing, but the things you hear on TV aren't available to every business owner in our community.
Right.
Because number one, they're mom and pop places, they're too small. The benefits they may receive are for the employees, not for themselves. And it's very hard to somehow generate business for them if we don't patronize them. So I really want to encourage people to go your local stores. And I had a haircut today. Isn't it beautiful? But I think people have to take into account that there are people who don't have the paychecks like the government workers, that it keeps rolling in.
Right.
And so we need to really support these businesses, and they're going all out to make COVID-19 safe. So please patronize them.
That's right. Shop locally and enjoy the greatness of being in Plymouth.
Exactly.
Let's talk about some other things, but it's also part of the problem with budget you're cranking out the budget for next year already, and you have to do that. It's
Well,
that time of year.
We have to do that, Mike, and this time of year, you're right, it's crunch time. We hope to have a presentation next week for council, then we have to publish it for 2 weeks, and hopefully the council will look at it the second Tuesday in November and accept it. I've hopefully instructed everybody to balance. We want a balanced budget. The fall drop dead date is the 4th Tuesday of the month. We don't like going that late because that's really crunch time. But it seems as though everybody is pitching in as much as possible under very difficult circumstances. All 80 plus of our city and utility employees are deemed essential. And that means that they don't have an alternative.
Right.
And not that they want to, and we certainly appreciate their dedication to the job. But until we get a new administrator, and we have some interviews lined up for that position, our interim director, Kathy Austin, is pulling 2 jobs and working very
Right.
hard. And all of our managers are doing excellent jobs, but it comes down to we're staggering our DPW workers so that they're not all working 8 hours at the same time. Some of them start earlier, some of them work later. Our utility people, our linemen, our truckers, our operators, everybody is taking different shifts and they alternate. I know I could never do shift work because I'd go stark raving crazy because I'm not that kind of a worker. I need my daytime. And so some are working at home, some are working different hours than they've ever worked in their life. They're all stepping up to do their job to the best of their ability. We've had some reduction in hours simply trying to fit people in the office when other people aren't there, and then they make that up the next week when they work at home. So we've been able to keep people employed and keep the services level to the community where we want it. An example of additional working that isn't available to our business community, our city clerk, Sabrina Dittman, found some additional funds that will help us offset some of the costs for instance, in election, because we only budgeted 14,000 for election. We're now over 18,000. And when people go to vote on November 3rd, or if you go down and vote early, you'll see a new layout. You'll see new cubicles. There's so many things that COVID-19 has forced us to do, and one of them is to spend money. And unfortunately, that's not in the budget. So we found additional funds there. Director Austin has found through the CARES project, through the federal program and the state program, about 30,000 plus to help some of the DPW and utility expense. And we're using some of our credits up with our WPPI energy purchase. They're out in the marketplace with Wisconsin Energy and the big boys. So we're buying off of the market, off the grid, and that's not a cheap place to go. It's our only place that we can go to get electricity. So our managers are doing a good job of altering workers. They're looking for funds in order to offset some of our additional costs that we've incurred. And at the same time, we're trying to maintain the level of service that we're accustomed to as we own our own utilities. And that's an advantage to us, has been for over 100 years, and it'll continue to be. But it takes a lot of extra effort to do that. And at the same time, we're saying, okay, now let's put the budget together. And oh, by the way, don't spend any more money.
Yeah, right.
Boy, talk about a double-edged sword. So we're trying to find ways to compensate for all of these different things. And it's not easy when things keep changing at the state level and at the federal level. Every week we're juggling once again and pushing and pulling and adjusting our budget numbers. It's been a real headache, to be polite.
It has to be.
And we're hoping that our new administrator, we can put an offer on the table. We hope to have that person on board by January 1st. It might not be until, maybe February 1st, but that's a big hole that in our team. So everybody is really pulling together, and I have to give a shout out to all of our 80 workers, not just the managers and the supervisors, but the whole team, because we don't have anybody grumbling that, well, I work 8 to 4 or 8 to 5. No, you might work 5 to 1 this week, today, and 12 to 7 at night tomorrow. And so there's a real problem that every day is another change of things. And if anybody in business knows that, people that have jobs, I'm sure they've had adjustments in their jobs as well. But this is the kind of thing that, we want to tell the public how difficult it is, and at the same time we want to maintain services. So that's a long answer. The short answer, the budget's going to come in at 0, I hope.
Yeah.
We have another week to crunch some numbers. We don't have some of our state credit offsets that we get for computer aid. Our big one is the highway funding for any state roads that the city participates in. And we have cut back on 3 projects this year that we had one piece of equipment that was very large. We had 2 building addition improvements that we simply didn't do because way back in February, it's like we have to make adjustments right now, and 50,000 here, 20,000 there, 157,000 for the building. All these things came out of one pot of soup and went into another one, and we still had to finish our Appleton Street project, which fortunately came in a little over than what we expected. There was additional work that we didn't realize would come into play. But those things happen, and trying to adjust all of those. If we finish the year of 20 without any deficits to worry about and carry over, then we'll look better going into the budget, which we're now trying to put together, and still maintain our 5-year plan and 10-year plan of things in the city that we try to maintain and refresh, so that if we let them run too long, the cost doubles on us, and we don't want to do that.
Now, I did see you have some highway work done just across from the high school here.
Oh, yes. That was one that was in the works about 4 years ago.
Yep.
And kept getting pushed off, and we always kept in contact with the contractor because it was authorized, and if they had a cancellation someplace else, and this wasn't, a week or a month-long job, I think it was probably a day and a half
Right.
at the most. And of course, you bring in the equipment and you really inconvenience everybody on the east side all at once. But in 2 days, they tore it up, laid it down, and striped it. So that was 4 years ago, planned and never happened. But the money was there, and the contractor said, I've got 2 days, and we said, we'll take it.
There you go.
And thank goodness, because that was getting to the point where I don't care how new your car was, you had to make sure that you had a trunk when you were left, because everything was falling off as you went down the road.
How are we ready for winter?
We're very ready. We stocked up. We had some left over last year. Our price of salt increased about 6%. Fortunately, we only had to order, because we do that year by year. Instead of a full load for the year, we ended up only having to order about 75% of a load. So we will save a little bit money there, but the increase definitely put a hole in our salt budget. But fortunately, we had some left over from last year, so that'll balance itself out. But we're ready. We didn't buy any new road equipment this year. We already had that last year, and everything is working. We actually did modify one piece of equipment because we found a new attachment that makes it function better in smaller areas. So I think overall, we're in excellent shape for this year winter season, which, according to news report the other night, the weather, it sounded like we might get something relatively soon, but
Right.
we don't control that anyway, so we don't worry about it.
And lastly, how are we doing on the ash trees?
Pardon me?
How are we doing on the ash trees?
You had to ask that question. Terrible.
Well, the problem's not going away.
It's not going away. We started out with some 800. We're down to, I think, 450. And every year we're hoping to take out 70 or 80. The good news is, Matt, our new forester and or DPW manager has come up with a very innovative way to get trees, put them in, instead of a ball, into some of our compost piles that we have. And he's had tremendous success now in 2 years of root growth. which means we take those out. Their survival rate is right now 100%, which is pretty good, instead of the 80%, and that'll save us in the long run. But we doubled our tree planting process because of the importance of trees and having to take so many out that it's unbelievable. But this will increase the maturity. Instead of 10 years, it might cut it down to 6 or 7 years. So we're very excited about that. And he found a resource, I believe it was in New Berlin, that had a huge bunch that they were trying to dispose of. So he got a good price on them, and now we've been stocking them and watering them for a year. Next year we'll put in maybe 200.
Okay.
This year we put in about 100. And we piggybacked with the Rotary Club and the Roots program to plant more trees, and this is countywide, but it's also in the city of Plymouth. And so that's a very good program, and we're looking for participants in that. And these 800 trees were on city property. There's plenty more in private property, and we can't, as a city, go on private property. So what I'm all talking about here is all of the city-owned property, the parks, the right-of-ways,
Right.
and things like that.
You know, replacing the ash trees that you had to take down with trees that are going to be better.
Yep, and we have a mixture, so we don't lose 800 of one kind.
Right.
We're planting about a dozen kinds, and so hopefully we don't run into 10 or 20 years from now, the next generation dying off.
Right.
And then having to do the same thing again.
Well, I want to thank you for being on. I want to tell our viewers that the City Council has their meetings on the second and last Tuesday of every month, starting at 8 o'clock at City Hall.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock at City Hall.
We changed
Things have
that.
changed.
Yep, we changed that because of everything else that's
Yep.
changing, and it fit into our workforce better.
So it's 7 o'clock at City Hall on the second and last Tuesday of every month. Be sure to watch their City Council meetings on TV14. And again, thank you for being on, and hopefully we'll have more good news next month.
We'll have fantastic news next month.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
When we come back, we're going to be talking about the arts and about the schools and how everybody's hanging in there. So stay right with us. You're watching Action 14. Welcome back. As promised, we're going to talk a little bit about the arts, and I have Donna Hahn here, the boss of the Arts Center. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Mike.
How many years again have we had the Arts Center?
I have been there 20 years.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank
been
you.
It's been a good run, hasn't it?
It hasn't been a good year, but it's been a good run.
Understood. And for many years now, you've had members bring in their own work.
Right.
And this is happening again this year.
Yes, this is one of the benefits of membership. If you're an artist, or you're studying to be an artist, you're a student, or you're a photographer and you'd like to get that special piece of photography that you have taken recently, you want to get that up on the wall, this is the time to join.
Right. And you must join before the end of the month, before October 30th.
Right.
And not only join, but also have your paperwork in so that you can be on display starting December 4th.
That's correct.
You use this time, we have a show going on right now. And so when that show closes, you will then be bringing membership up.
That's right.
How do I go about it? I can go down and can I get it online?
You can. The prospectus for this particular show is online, so you just need to make a copy and fill it out and send it in with
Right.
your membership check. And we have all levels of membership. We start from a student at $10 all the way up to whatever you want to give, and beyond like, 500 or whatever. So
But my advice though is to stop in. If you want to become a member, stop in, look around and see what you're joining. It's a
That's right.
fantastic area. I can tell you that your regular hours are Tuesday through Friday, 10 to 4 p.m. And then on Saturday and Sunday, 1 to 3 p.m. Always free, always can go in at any time and look over the items. We are asking you to wear a mask at this time, but nevertheless come in and join. That's the
Right.
biggest thing, is join up so that you can show off your art.
Well, and then you also get notices. We're sending out notices for all of our events ahead of time, so you'll have a chance to buy tickets before anyone else does, before we offer them to the public. And, you'll be part of a great organization.
That has been run for over 20 years by the person next to me here. It just
Yes.
seems like yesterday. You know?
Oh, yes.
But be part of it. Join today. Again, join by October 30th and then fill out the necessary paperwork, and you will be able to have your works. And we're talking small items.
Yes, this year we're limiting it to a smaller piece. It's still a fairly good size. It's like a quarter sheet of watercolor paper. So it's still a nice size. But we want to get as many as we can in the gallery. And, usually we have at least 100.
Yes, and the neat part is, if many of your artists may want to sell their work that's on your wall.
That's right.
And if they happen to have a buyer that wants the piece now, you would be able to do that, and then what?
If the buyer wants it for a Christmas gift, then we offer a chance to the artist to bring in another piece.
A second one.
Right.
So if you have your first art piece, someone wants to purchase it for a gift, you will have a chance for a second item to come in.
That's right.
All because you're a member. That's fantastic.
Absolutely.
And you've been doing this for several years also.
Oh, this is our 25th year.
25th
Yes.
year of doing this exact item where
Right.
members can display their art. And it's not just watercolors, it's photography, it's
Sculpture, oil paintings,
Yep.
acrylic, glass, leather,
yep,
wood.
you've had all of those.
Yes, we have.
And the neat part is, after December 4th, when that show goes up, I can come down there and actually view all of it.
You can, you can come to the party. Hopefully, we'll be able to have the party this year.
Yes.
If we are limited, it might have to, go in stages that
Right.
evening. Maybe the, first 25 people will have a certain amount of time in the gallery. And then, we'll just have that on display through January. So it'll be a good long run, probably I think it's January 22nd.
Okay,
It's on
so
the
you
wall.
get nearly a month to have your art up on display for all of us to come in and view.
Right. And I'd like to mention that Paul and Kathy Sartori are sponsoring our holiday membership show this year, along with our major annual sponsors. That would be Sartori Company, Sargento, and Masters Gallery.
Yes, we want to thank them so that this is all possible.
Yes,
Particularly on a year like this, you need those support.
we absolutely do.
Well, let's talk about a couple other items, because right now you have an item that will be on display until November 27th.
It's our Wisconsin Watercolor Show. Beautiful watercolors. We have gotten so many compliments on this particular show, so I hope that folks will come in and take a look before it's gone.
Yes, and you are open Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday and Sunday, 1 to 3 p.m. Always free. Just wear a mask, come on in and see what's happening. And while you're there, check out the gift shop.
Yes.
We talk about the gift shop a lot, but there's some unique items in your gift shop.
There are. We keep changing it. It's a members rotation gallery. So we have, all of our members are welcome to submit an application to be in our gift shop. So we have, nice variety of items.
Which is another reason you want to become a member, is because you are able to possibly have your items in the gift shop for sale.
And we are looking for artists to display and sell in our gift shop.
Memorabilia, I have a couple T-shirts from the Jazz Crawl, and you have some of those available in your gift shop?
We do. We have a few years that, we had an overabundance of T-shirts, so there are a few years left.
Yeah, and I have a couple of them, of course. And then what we have at home is wine glasses. We purchased some very nice wine glasses from your gift shop
Right.
that we really enjoy.
We have our logo wine glasses, and we
Yep.
have Keith Obler's CDs.
That's right.
There was a show at the Art Center presented by Keith way many years ago, and he produced a CD, and we have those CDs available. So it's called Live at the Plymouth Art Center.
Oh, fantastic.
Keith Obler, Live at the Plymouth Art
Is
Center.
that right? That's
Yeah.
kind of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you see there are some unique items along with guest artists that are members that also have items for
Right.
display.
Paintings and sculpture, wood items, leather, you know, it's all in there. It's packed tight.
Yep.
Jewelry, so.
So when you
it's
come
very
down
nice.
to be a member, not only become a member, fill out the paperwork to bring your own art down, do this by October 30th, and then you can be part of the show starting December 4th. And at the same time, go and see if there's anything for Christmas you'd like to pick up there.
And we have gift memberships as well. So we have this difficult person to buy for. I shouldn't say difficult
Well, you
person.
were looking at me when you said it.
A hard to buy for, person.
Yeah.
So we have memberships that we could make out a nice gift certificate for that person, or it could be for tickets for a future show.
Right.
You know, it could be a class that you'd like someone to, you know, take a class.
Well, let's
So-
talk about something else happening because we brought up Christmas gifts, and you've got a Christmas show coming, the Celtic Christmas Concert.
Yes.
That's been going on for several years also.
I think this is our 7th year.
Okay, and it's November 13th and 14th and the 21st, November 15th and the 22nd. That means there's 3 nights and then 2 matinees.
That's right.
And the reason for 5 shows is that you are limiting the number of people that can come in.
Right.
And you need to purchase your tickets ahead of time. So another reason to stop down or call in or visit the website is to purchase tickets to the Celtic Christmas Show. And you have many nice sponsors for that also.
We do. The Celtic Christmas Show is sponsored by Masters Gallery, Bank First, Paul and Kathy Sartori, Van Horn Auto, Love 98.5 FM radio station, and the Wisconsin Arts Board.
Yes, again, November 13th, 14th, and 15th, and the 21st and 22nd.
And this is a very nice show. You're going to get a wonderful mix of music. It's going to be music from the Celtic genre, but also some traditional Americana music as well, Christmas music.
We should also thank Carrie Kramer and Tom Clegg for directing the show.
Yes, and
They've done this many
yes,
times.
and they do a great job.
Now that's, again, mark your calendars for that second week in November, the 13th, 14th, and 15th, and the next weekend, the 21st and 22nd.
That's right.
That's the Celtic Christmas Concert, always good. And that's also, the neat part about you use the word arts center.
Right.
Is that the many different arts, you have people we just got done talking about bringing your art to hang or to sit on a table. And now we're talking about the artists that bring music to our ears.
That's right. And we just finished our theatrical show. We did a comedy drama,
Right.
and that was very well attended. Got rave reviews on that show.
Good, fantastic. Let's talk about one of the some holiday things happening for you, because you have Paint a Chair.
We do. In November, you're going to be able to paint a holiday chair. You can paint it however you like, but you're going to get a chair included in your
Yeah.
fee and all the supplies. So you just have to show up, and Mary Starnicki will teach you how to paint that special chair for your home.
That's November 7th. Mark that on your calendar, November 7th.
And we need those registrations about a week ahead.
Yeah, make sure you get signed up because there is a limit. And but you're going to actually include a chair.
Yes. We have very strong wooden chairs that have been, acquired by Mary, and we're going to include that in the fee.
And then you'll be able to paint them right there.
Yes.
Yes, fantastic. All right, now you also have some holiday wreath making. That's something that I believe might be new.
We've done virtual wreath classes
Okay.
and in person. This last year, we've had several. And this one was postponed. It was supposed to take place earlier in October, but we had to postpone it. So now we're going to do that in November as well.
So you got a couple things happening here.
Yeah.
You're always busy at the Arts Center.
We are. We're trying to keep busy, and we're very thankful to our volunteers and to our staff for keeping us going.
Right. Now, again, I want to mention to everyone that you can get gift certificates, also join up the Arts Center. You don't have to be an artist to join.
No.
You can be
An art lover.
an art lover to enjoy. And it's not just art on the wall, but the many artists that you bring in. The Keith Obler game, you know.
Right.
That's been special.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'd love to have Keith back.
And I bet you will at some point.
I hope so.
Yes. Let's mention again, the gallery hours are Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday, 1 to 3 p.m. I just have to thank you for what happened a week or so ago, because I'm driving through downtown Plymouth on my either normal Saturday or Sunday drive to get a cup of coffee or something, and all of the artists that were painting in various locations throughout
Yes.
Plymouth. That was fantastic.
Well, we have to thank Dan Rizai for that. He's a coordinator for Paint the Towns, and this year we called it Paint the Towns in Fall Color because we delayed it a little bit, a few weeks, and we hit the peak. The color was just fantastic, so we've had just beautiful paintings, you know, and all the yellows and oranges and burnt, you know, rusty colors. So it was a beautiful show, and we did sell paintings, and, you know, we are having it again next year. Next year it'll be a little bit longer show because we're going to actually have the paintings displayed in our gallery.
Okay.
So this year we only had about a week after the show to display and sell after the silent auction. But next year it'll be a much longer period of time.
And the reason I bring it up is the fact that that's what the membership supports, is these unique items to have people painting in downtown Plymouth at various locations.
Yes.
And being able to sell their wares afterwards. And
We have so much talent in the area that, and this particular show, we bring in artists from all over. We had over 35 artists participating, and they painted just, you know, not only in Plymouth, they went out to Greenbush and Glen Beulah and painted out there as well. The majority of the paintings were created in Plymouth, so you know, you could recognize a lot of different areas, especially like the railroad bridge or, you know, some of the local downtown businesses.
Yeah, that's where I saw the first one when I was coming from my house, you know, the taking and then along the river.
Oh,
We had
yes.
several along the river that were painting. It was beautiful.
It was an exciting day. We did something a little bit different this year, too. Dan had decided that he would like to set up still life settings in the
Right.
plaza area and behind our building. So we had big cars in the back, not
Yes.
just a still life. It was an actual car.
Yeah.
So,
I did see that also.
yeah, so that was a lot of fun. The artists painted all day from 9 until 4 o'clock that day.
And that's what you're supporting when you become a member to the Arts Center, is it's special to Plymouth. I am hard to find a city, a community this size that has an arts center as we do in Plymouth. It is
We've
so
often
special.
been told that. We had a artist from Oshkosh tell us that just last year. She said, you know, we don't even have an art center like this in Oshkosh. We've had that same comment from artists in Green Bay.
Right.
So it's really unique that our community, you know, the size of Plymouth can support
Right.
an art center.
And we want to keep supporting it. So be kind, be generous, and hopefully you'll have a lot of people to your concerts, a lot of people visiting to the paintings that are going up very shortly. And
Yes.
it should be fun.
And I just want to give a shout out to all of our sponsors. This year has been extremely difficult. Of course, everyone has been in that same boat, but we are very grateful to all of our sponsors. And I didn't mention that the Wisconsin Watercolor Society show is sponsored by one of our board members, Barb Barrows, and her husband Conrad,
Okay.
and Mr. Franz Bacchus, who's been very very generous to us. so.
Fantastic. Well, I want to wish you the best of luck in these coming weeks because you're going to be busy.
Yes, we are.
Everything from the small works that are going on the wall by December 4th, and right now you have the watercolors on the wall now to visit.
Right.
And you have the Christmas show coming up in the middle of November. You'll be ready for a Christmas break.
Well, and then we do have the big cheese drop.
That's right.
We are going to hold that, New Year's Eve. Probably won't have the big inside
Yes.
party, but we are going to
Good.
try to get that in this year.
Yes, we've had that for many, many years. The cheese drop, will it happen again? We're getting ahead of ourselves.
I
A little
think
before midnight?
I think it'll happen again at 10 o'clock. The Sartori Company is a sponsor, and they have requested it to be early so that the children can come out and
Right.
enjoy it. So I think it will be at least at,
Yeah.
by 10 o'clock.
I always play Eastern time anyway when it's New Year's Eve. I'm in a hard time staying up till midnight.
That's right.
And so the cheese drop also involves the children, and so that
Mm-hmm.
would be great if you could do that.
Right.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for being on.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank the Arts Center for being so supportive of our community. It's been great.
Well, we love Plymouth.
Yes, yes. Thank you again. When we come back, we're going to have Dan Mella talk about our annual meeting and the school board meeting, so stay right with us. You're watching Action 14. Welcome back to Action 14. As promised, I've got Dan Mella here, Superintendent of Plymouth School District. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You actually got to go through your first annual meeting as a superintendent.
Right, I've been through a lot of them over the years as
Yeah.
a principal and assistant superintendent, but this was the first one that I was in kind of leading the way through, and so it was a little stressful, but we were prepared, and Amy Williams did a wonderful job with the budget, and so we were able to go through the meeting, and it went very well.
Explain again for our audience and myself, we have an annual meeting, and it's been in October many, many years, to finalize budgets.
Correct. It really has a couple of primary functions, and the annual meeting is to, it's a public hearing for the community to approve the tax levy. That's the first thing. And then it's also a public hearing for the community to approve the final budget for the upcoming school year. Mm-hmm. And so it's a little bit different than a typical board meeting where the board just is going off of the agenda strictly. They actually elect an officer to run it, and then that officer runs the annual meeting, and then members from the community can join in and first and second, and they can
vote.
and vote. Yeah.
The unique part is it's hard to understand how schools balance their budgets because the fiscal year for a school starts July 1. This past July, we start our school budget year. And then in October, we finalize how we're going to pay for it. Mm-hmm. And then the city takes over. And then it finally, the first of the years when people start paying for what we start spending in July. Mm-hmm. It is kind of odd how it all plays together.
Right. We don't actually receive any new money from the citizens until around January. Mm-hmm. And so there's a period of time where we're always using last year's monies and dollars to fund this year's budget. And then we move into those dollars as we get further along. Mm-hmm. And we used to have to short-term borrow.
That's right.
To cover that cost, but it's been one of the district's pillars in the goals within the financial pillar, mm-hmm. so that we didn't have to short-term borrow because, of course, when you borrow, you pay interest, and that's an extra expense.
Right.
It also, having enough of a fund balance now for the second year in a row only, that we don't have to short-term borrow. When we do need to borrow for a capital improvement item or things like the referendum that we had previously, your bond rating goes up. Mm-hmm. And so the citizens who approve something like a referendum or some big capital item, pay less money in interest because our bond rating is better.
Right.
So those are all good things about being able to
Yeah.
have a fund balance large enough not to have to short-term borrow because of this weird budget cycle.
Now, because of this year, how odd it has been, there is also extra expenses because of the virus and how it played a game. We've had to hire additional help for not only cleaning, but helping the students virtually, et cetera. But we came out pretty good.
Yeah, we're not sitting too bad. We are going to have an operating deficit. We typically start the year with an operating deficit where when we do the books, it appears that we'll be a little bit short by the end of the budget cycle. Every year, though, through good fiscal management, some different types of turnover of staff that happen on an annual basis, and other factors, we typically have some money left over at the end. We make up that difference every single year. Well, this year's operating deficit is really no different than any typical year. And so, but that includes nearly $300,000 worth of personnel and supplies that are just for dealing with trying to keep schools open during a pandemic.
Well, I think you start out this annual meeting with yourself speaking, and you had some unique and positive things to say to our community. I got a kick out of the fact that, yes, we have a serious virus problem in Wisconsin, all right? But Plymouth School District has been very good about protecting our children.
Right. I mean, the first thing in our reopening plan, the very first part of our plan, is safety for students and staff and the individuals that are here, no matter what other things we're doing. So what that gets us into is a lot of protective equipment and schedules that space people out.
Similar to us being spaced out tonight.
You mean far apart? We're always spaced out.
Yes.
But yeah, so there's a lot of planning that goes into trying to keep people 6 feet apart. Everybody's wearing masks. We've got protective plexiglass in grade schools and on desks. The high school is an A-B day schedule. All of those things are to diminish the contact, keep people apart. And then in between all things, any tables or materials that get touched get sprayed down, they get cleaned at night. So all of those things go into trying to keep people safe. And we haven't had, of course, we've had students and staff in every building who have been positive. That's not true, not students in every building. But for the vast majority, all of that is happening, they're contracting those things outside of our school building.
We cannot point to a single student or faculty member or anybody working in the district that contracted it in the school district.
Right, we don't have a confirmed transfer within the school district. Doesn't mean that there may not have been something that we're unaware of, because this thing is asymptomatic from time to time, and we're not diminishing the fact that it's serious. But as far as places to be that are safe compared to other places in the community, I believe our schools are pretty safe.
We feel pretty good about it. And that was one of the things you brought up during your meeting,
Right.
During your time to speak.
Right, and what I was really talking about is, the pandemic has flipped the whole everything really, the educational process, life in general, on its head. And so everybody's having to learn to adjust and do things differently. And we are too, but some of those things are really showing us that we could have been doing things differently all along.
Right.
And maybe there's different and better ways to do things. Just one example is getting feedback and continual feedback and using feedback from our parents as partners in teaching their kids. Last year when we went into the shutdown mode in March, we were communicating with parents, and we discovered we could do a lot better job of that, and in helping parents know how to navigate our online systems. We could do a lot better job of that. And we have now, but we continue to learn how to do that. And I think as we move into the future, the opportunity there is to build closer partnerships with the parents that we're working with.
Yeah, it was a good 15 minutes.
Are you saying I spoke too long, Mike?
No, it was good. And then from your speaking, then then our next speaker was the Reverend talked about. I say Reverend. He is our school board president. Spoke also about some of the positive things that he has learned.
Correct. Yeah, and some of those are, we've had a lot of turnover in our administrative ranks this year, among a turnover type of world with the pandemic. So it's giving us an opportunity to kind of look back at our goals, really.
Right.
And say, is this the way we should be heading? We're doing some great things. What could we do better? And so a lot of his was assessing where we were and how can we use this time to do even better. So.
And then it was Amy Williams' time, the business manager, her first annual meeting. She did a fantastic job of discussing the numbers.
Yep. Yeah, she takes everybody through every line. Well, she doesn't take them through all the line items of the budget, all the general categories of the budget. She did a really good job explaining the basics of how a school budget is produced. Because people out there, I don't know if people know, but there are primary aids, secondary aids, tertiary aids, and then that's all state funding. But then there's your local property tax funding.
Right.
Then there are categorical aids that sometimes are federal and sometimes state. And all of that has to come together into a mix to determine how much is coming from outside and how much is still required by the inside to get to the levy. The inside, I mean, by the local tax dollars and things. So, but I thought she did a really good job of describing that and simplifying it, I think.
I should mention to our audience that if you watch TV14 and TV20, the annual meeting along with the school board will be playing periodically over the next month if you want exact information. We can tell you that the bottom line, and that's what generally our audience and homeowners are concerned about, the bottom line is that we're in pretty good shape.
We're in pretty good shape. Our tax levy is decreasing, don't want to get the number wrong, by somewhere between 30 and 40 cents per thousand. And so if you look at our levy compared to the state average, we are below. We've been below ever since I've been here.
Right.
But this year we're almost back to where we were before the referendum came in. So that indicates that we're doing pretty well, because we were supposed to be a little higher for a few more years yet by the models that we were projecting at the time.
So we feel pretty good about where we are financially, and so our audience will not see a jump in property taxes due to the schools.
Correct.
Yes, that's what's important some days, And we had a chance for our community to speak, and the only one that spoke was our mayor. He was here and spoke, again, how the school and the city, we want to work together.
Right, and I do believe at one point he said, just remember, no matter what happens, even in this topsy-turvy time, that the city has our back. And he's hopeful that we will work with them too. And of course, we always have, and I think it's a pretty good working relationship.
I do too. Now, that ended, it was passed, you did have to vote, and we did pass everything.
Right.
And so then we move on, take a break and move on to our school board meeting.
Right.
And biggest highlight of the school board meeting for me was, again, back to health, back to the health and safety of our students. You did have a discussion about that.
Correct. We had for this school year, we have, all school districts had a reopening plan. And so we had that meeting, I believe we did our plan in August. Since then, we've made a couple of modifications and changes at a previous meeting, and we made a couple of modifications and changes in this meeting. One of those is that we just want the option. So we approve these things at this meeting in case we need to go there because of COVID numbers or staff availability or those types of things. And so we were looking at having the board approve our ability to go to an A-B day schedule for the 7th and 8th graders at the middle school. It doesn't mean we're doing that. It means that we have the capability to do that without having to go to a school board meeting again.
Right.
If something comes at us from, in terms of a localized outbreak or the numbers of students change, or those types of things.
Explain the AB.
Oh, sure.
So our audience understands that.
Sure. An A-B day schedule means that in this case, the 7th and 8th graders, half of the students would be in school one day, and then they would be online, virtual, or remote the next day. So they're still in school, they're still getting education every day. It's just that only half of the kids are in the building on every day for that 7th and 8th grade. So it just spreads out, it gives more space in the building to spread out children to keep them socially distant.
And that's what we've been doing at the high school starting this year. And it's been working very well over the last several weeks. It's taxing on some offices because think about having half your class in front of you and the other half watching you from a camera and microphone.
Right, and somebody's in charge of all those cameras and microphones.
Yeah, some offices
Some
are.
offices are.
It was, to explain it the best is if you, chorus. If they are meeting indoors, they are meeting in the auditorium and only half of the students are there. And so that students are all spaced out more than 6 feet apart in the auditorium. On a screen, projected on a screen, is everybody at home. You can see their faces, you can hear them, they are at home, watching and learning. And then the next day, the ones that were sitting in the auditorium are on the screen watching from home. We can see their face. Technology has come so far and has helped us so much in all of this.
Right. This wouldn't be nearly as effective even 15 years ago.
No.
Because the real-time ability to be at school and at home and communicating like both of you were together, it's, everybody's used to this now. Zoom meetings are going on constantly, or Google meetings are going on constantly. Yeah, the technology is allowing for a more normal experience.
Well, the students have laptops at home, but they have school-issued laptops that have a microphone and a camera. And so not only can they see the teacher on their screen and hear the teacher can see them and hear them also. And so we are taking attendance, even when they're at home, that they are joining our class.
Right, yep.
It's crazy.
Yes, I mean, I have 2 kids in high school.
Yes,
and
you do.
It was just this morning that I ran back to the house to get a hat because I needed a hat to help serve lunches today.
He was a lunch server today.
I was lunch serving today. And one of my sons was in class on his laptop, but he was in bed. And so I walked down there just to make sure he was in class. And I was asking him a question, and I heard, then he goes, I'm sorry, I missed that question. Because the teacher was asking him a question when I was interfering with him. So I looked at it and I said, sorry, Mrs. Biller. That was me, it was my fault. So I was naughty in class today. I caused my son. I was interrupting class, yeah.
Well, actually, we tried to keep the school board meeting that is in October shorter because of the annual meeting that precedes it. There was a little bit of discussion about several other items, but nothing of great importance. One of the items of importance was we've had some students be very successful.
Yeah, Tracy Heinbuck, one of our ag teachers, indicated that we had 2 students who went into a contest for agri-science in the state of Wisconsin last year. And it was Dallas Creasa and a Seifert girl. I'm sorry, I'm just forgetting the first name. But those 2 kids did a project on how hydrogen peroxide in water affects the growth of lettuce in a hydroponic growing system.
Yeah.
And so it's a cool science project, and it's an agri-science project, Well, turns out they win the state competition and they go on to nationals, which is ongoing. These two kids are now in college, and the competition is still going on. They have already gone through a couple stages. They're now in the final 3 in the nation for last year for the agri-science contest, and we find out, I think, at the end of this week whether they win the national prize from Plymouth, Wisconsin in agri-science. So that's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Before we go, I would like to have you give an update on how athletics is going.
Oh, sure. Yeah, athletics is going. The schedules vary on a weekly basis because some places have kids that can't play and all those things. Schedules are condensed, fans are limited, but one of the things that's really important is that TV14 and the people that work here, and you guys do such great work, we're broadcasting all of our events, and we're doing some of them even live and remote at different locations, which we've never done before.
Right.
And so I know our viewership, because some of them include my family, my grandparents and uncles and aunts and things, are watching games in northern Wisconsin, in Minnesota, all over the place, listening to the golden tones of Mike Briggs on Friday Night Football and on other sporting events too. We've got soccer, we've got volleyball, we've got all those things going, but the broadcasting of it is really a treat.
Well, because we had such a limit, in football, every football player can only have 4 people come to the game. The rest have to stay home. In volleyball, it was just 2 people per player and no swimming fans at all. And so Gary Kaiser, I have to give him credit, and then Kurt Zolpa helping him, were able to set things up so that we did send our home volleyball out live over YouTube. And we did send swimming out live over YouTube. We had parents doing the play-by-play, and they did an excellent job. And for the first time, in football, we have gone out live for quite some time at home games. But for the first time ever at Port Washington, we went out live at a away game. We took a laptop and a hotspot with us, and we went out live, and we got so many texts and mail that, wow, that was fantastic. And we did have someone from Michigan last week send me a text that, coming in great.
Cool.
And so it's been fun for us too, but it opens a whole new door. We had thousands of viewers, because on YouTube they actually can see how many hits you get.
Cool.
And so who knows how many, because we had hundreds of hits.
This could be your big break.
Yeah, I need a big break. I've had enough breaks in my life, okay? But it's been fun.
Yeah.
It's been fun, and I'm so pleased that not only are we putting out a good product, very clear picture, very clear voice, but I'm pleased that people are watching.
Yeah.
That we still have fans, they can still enjoy the games and be part of what's happening.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, I want to thank you for being on. We're keeping our distance, we're trying to make things happen, and Plymouth School District's doing a fantastic job.
Well, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
And thank you for being with us. Until next time, I'll be seeing you on the radio. Bye-bye for now.